Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey, Backyards and Bevvies.
Welcome.
So I don't think we're doing cameras anymore.
No.
Just FYI.
It's
so if you watch this on YouTube, we're sorry, but I don't know. I
At least
like
you can hear us, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. I'm digging it. But this is the last podcast in this
Our current house.
humble abode that we are living in.
I know, it's crazy.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful time out here. We're so blessed that we had a house that accommodated us for
this
this
house
long.
has been this house has been amazing, and the yard, and it's been an incredible 5 years, and it's time for us to go on a new adventure.
Move on out. Yeah, we're gonna keep the name Backyards and Bevvies. I don't know how many times we're gonna record in the backyard, but
it's okay.
But it's all about the point. It's about the substance behind it, right?
The chill.
Like our backyard is, and our new house is nice. It's just it's not.
But it's not 2.5 acres like this.
It doesn't have the view that we're looking
No.
at. It does have a nice view though. We do have a nature,
preserve
not too far from where we live. So
very true.
But today I thought it would be kind of cool. We've been going through so much this year. I mean, I guess for the last 3 years, this has been such a growing experience. Not only like personally, but as a husband and wife, and then
manager and author,
we wear many owners.
hats.
Well, we've tried so many different things because I think that the point is that you basically try it all, right? And you learn, you fail, you get back up the next day. Like we had this LLC, right? And then we went and asked this guy, our new CPA. Like we had a CPA, but he was in a different state. He was great, but he didn't do the
different state. So we needed one where we're at.
Because we were like, oh, well, we have this LLC. We need to really like hit it hard. We need to figure it out how we can save as much and utilize the system from within and all the things. And the first thing he says is, I would just collapse it because
you don't need it.
the way that you personally, and he was talking about me, are going to bring in money doesn't really, you don't need an LLC for that in the state of Tennessee. And we're like, oh, okay,
great.
cool. Well, it's good to know that. Because, I mean, you see all these
One less thing to pay for.
Well, I mean, you're inundated with info now on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all these places. And you hear these stories of these people telling you like, oh, well, I started my LLC and I did this. But that worked for them.
Well, they were also doing a totally different business model.
Exactly. But I think that's the point though, is that it's cool to talk and open up our lives to people because they get, maybe our situation isn't exactly like theirs, but maybe there's something inside of ours that at least like can drive them to something and go, oh, well, let me try this. And it didn't work. Though it worked for them, it didn't work for me.
All right.
Well, recently I guess over the last 3 years, one thing I've done, and I have to say that it was way out of my wheelhouse, was I've been asking for a lot of help in multiple ways, though. Not only, financially, which not really financially, I should say, but like, well, I've asked you to step up so I can stay home and be an author and watch our children, and that's definitely been a growing and learning experience, and it's been beautiful in many ways. It's been challenging in many ways, but
absolutely,
you answered that call and you said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." But it gained gained you, your husband at home.
It gave us a healthy marriage
all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is cool though.
It's amazing. I love it.
So it wasn't just a take, like I didn't just say like, "Oh, give me this."
Right. Absolutely not.
But I did ask for that, and it was like, well, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then spiritually, I've put myself out there. I don't know in how many different ways now.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm on a good path with God. Like when I don't just talk to it, like Jelly Roll says. Like I don't just pray.
Yeah, you don't only talk to God when you need a favor.
Yeah. But it's cool though because am I the greatest Christian ever? No, never. But I at least know that where I stand is very firm on my beliefs, and it's been helping me grow in other ways other than just like my path to heaven.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's I've asked for that, and then with the book, I've always thought about writing, but to write something is so hard. Because anybody can write something, right? anybody can just take their thoughts and put them down on paper. Mm-hmm. But then the process behind it is so intense, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm just going to go get it edited. Well, by who?
Right.
Like, you have to find someone that's legit, right?
Yeah.
And so I asked Desi for help, and she was an enormous amount of help. She like blew my mind when it came down to it, right? Mm-hmm. And she took the book to a new level, but then it went to another editor.
Yeah.
And then right now it's in proof right now. So, there's all these different steps that you have to ask for that help. You can't, like, because if I would have just put the book out, you and me, like, I would be probably giving a lot of people their money back. Not that we didn't do a good job, but
we're not professionals.
We're not professionals.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of help asked. And even with Julie, the publisher, we're continually asking her for advice and questions, and you're continually asking other managers and people for advice.
Well, and now we have partnered with a official PR team. And so now we ask them for help and guidance on media and interviews and pitches and
and that's
all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah.
But without asking for that kind of help, it's such a, and this is just my experience. You're left to try to do so much, and weight, that kind of weight can really bog you down. If you don't get, like, I guess, and I use humble in a way, like, it's truly humbled me to ask for help, in the sense that, excuse me, I'm getting over some sort of
a little chest cold,
but it's making me cough, and I have a really cool radio voice right now.
You do. Well, I think, to continue on what you're saying while you control your coughing and stuff, I think, it is hard to ask for help, but certain types of help that you ask for are harder than others.
Definitely.
So, like we last week launched the Kickstarter for the book. And so to explain this to our listeners, yes, we've signed a publishing deal, which is incredible. Yeah. And that publishing deal helps us to print and deliver the books, to bookstores, to have it available on Amazon and all that stuff. And all that will be available December 1st when the book comes out. However, with this publishing deal that we signed, it's a hybrid deal where we get to keep way more of the percentages of earnings than we would if we had signed a regular publishing deal. But that means we have to incur some of the expenses, which is, only fair. So the expenses that we have to incur are a lot of the marketing expenses. So like this PR team that we brought on board, we're paying for that completely ourselves. Yeah. The audiobook that we're going to do, we're paying for that as well. You're going to go to Texas and to Arizona and stuff like that to go to book festivals to promote the book, which we're going to be paying for. Yeah. So those types of things, we're pouring everything that we have into this, including our life savings, which is totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
But asking for that kind of help from people, and not just from strangers, but from your friends and your family and stuff, like saying to them, hey, we have started this Kickstarter to do these things that I just talked about. Would you please share it on social media to spread the word? Or would you please donate to it or buy a package? Because this is how you can pre-order special copies of the book, like hardcover, which isn't going to be available except on Kickstarter.
Well, but eventually, but not for a while, because it is expensive to print hardcovers, And
so, but this is like a limited edition, special, like autographed one. It's got all kinds of stuff. You can check the packages out online. But asking people for money, I think, is probably the hardest thing to ask help for. Yeah. Because, it's definitely very humbling, for sure. And it's a little uncomfortable. Yeah. Because you don't know where people are at in their financial situations. But then you also have to think like, well, every dollar helps. Like if you can just donate $1, amazing. Well, or just share it online, amazing.
Well, if I didn't have the product that I believed in, then it would be way harder, I think, too. I think there's something to be said that all the prior asks that I did to help build the book to where it is it was scary hitting the launch button, but at the same time, I knew launching it, I know what they get. So it makes it easier to like sit down and go, okay, well, yeah, if this was just like some book that I just put together, like in the back of the house and then just was going to sell it on Amazon, I don't know if I'd have that same confidence, but we've put so much effort into.
It's a fantastic book.
Well, it's not only a fantastic book, it's not, well, for one, it's not an autobiography, which a lot of people continue to think
it is a completely fictional crime thriller story.
But we've really put work into it. We really have like made sure that the storyline, and the people who have read it, they're always like, wow, like that's really cool. Like I didn't expect this. Because when you start the book, and even when you read the title, you're like, okay, this is just going to be about this. But I think the body of it is truly met towards the end. You really, it's a lot of character building.
There is a lot of character building. Well, a lot of action, too.
Well, because these characters have never been anywhere else in life before. So I had to spend time building characters.
Yeah.
So people, when they meet them, or when they read them, and then when they get introduced to them, they really understand who this character is, right? And then so it did take a long time, and the other thing about the book that people forget is that, well, everyone's writing like 100,000 word, 80,000 word books right now, so they're in
shorter,
so they're in the same box, right? Everybody's putting out the same 350 page book. And we were even told at one point, like, oh, I don't know, it's a little long. I'm getting advised not to do this. And it was like, yeah, but that's the point, though. If we're going to be different,
you're telling a detailed story.
We need to be different. We need to put this out there in a way. And so selling the hardcover is also heavier, too.
That's very true.
And so that's why we tried to think about every detail when we were setting up this Kickstarter, which was an incredibly cool thing, because you're building a business on paper, basically, and you're trying to get people to visualize it, read it, maybe see a video, and then go, yeah, this sounds really cool. So
it's a massive amount of work building a Kickstarter.
So much work, and it was so much effort just to put it like, and it seems so simple when you look at these Kickstarters, like, oh, I could write this, or I could do this. We put hours and hours and hours.
We worked on it for like 2 months.
Well, we had to think about the wording, like, because we didn't want this to, well, for one, you want to be as transparent as possible. You don't want to lead anyone on and be like, this is, you potentially are going to get this. It was like, no, you have to state every detail. Yeah. Then when it comes down to like just getting the body of the work and the story behind it out, then you have to think about, well, how do I want to ship this? How do I want to give this to people? How do I want to, like, you have to eventually deliver it, right?
Yeah.
So then that was a whole nother process too, of like thinking about which packages we wanted to give what items, because we'd have to ship them.
Right.
So it was a big up and down some days of like going, well, what about this? And what about this? And well, I don't know, but then we exclude this person, then we don't, so we had to really think about what people are paying for, where do we want to take their money and use it for? Because it's not going to our pocketbooks and just we're not
making any money off
of
this.
We're not like going, oh, cool, like we can go buy a Ferrari now because now I'm a publisher. And that's what people, I think, sometimes think too. It's like, they're like, oh, dude, congratulations on the publishing deal. It's like,
so you're a millionaire now, right? And it's like, no, we didn't get a dime, not a penny for signing a publishing deal.
The journey hasn't even begun. I'm not even 50% through this journey yet. Like the book still has to come out, and then I still have to market on top of that too, So it's like, this is not just this is that journey story where you're like, well, yeah, but nothing's happened. Like you're seeing the one reward, but you didn't see the 3 years put in behind that reward, right? So that's that like very fine line where you really, I mean, you don't want to like, I don't want to like preach about it. Like it's not like something that's like, oh, well, you don't know what I did.
Right.
But at the same time, I want people to understand the idea that this isn't just like a handout. Like this wasn't like, oh, you got a publishing deal, now you're rich, now you're going to go do whatever you want. It's like, no, there's so much work now.
So much
work.
I know.
Excuse me.
Take a sip of your drink.
I have.
The struggle.
I haven't talked in like 3 days.
That's true.
So Now it's like really, but the other side to it is that the Kickstarter was something that was so cool to do though, because we could have just gone and asked people for money. Like we could have just been like, hey, can you give me like, or taken a loan out. But I thought that it was such a different way of like, well, let's offer something as opposed to just taking.
Right.
Like, let's give back. And so what we are doing is we are giving back. The same way we were talking about it earlier. Like, I think when you ask for something, you really should put something forth too. You know, it's like, okay, well, fine. I want this from you, but I'm willing to give you this. Right. And so I think it is cool that we did it that way. Because there's been a couple offers that have come across our table like, well, if you need some money, like, don't feel bad to ask. Well, we need a lot of money.
Right. Right. And I'm sure we'll be making those asks at some point. But right now we're just really trying to, you know, promote the book and raise the money to be able to continue to promote the book. So, you know, it has definitely been a humbling experience putting it out there and telling people it's live. And at first, it was a little disheartening because people that you would expect to be the first people to share it or to buy a book or something like that haven't done it. And you're like, oh, well, but I do X, Y, Z for you all the time. And that's just not the way that humans work. It's not a tit for tat type of thing. But then the blessings start rolling in and people that you haven't seen in 10 years are just like, man, you know what? That guy's a good guy. I worked with him on this one tour. I'm going to buy this book. Or something like that. So I think, you know, really it's been humbling in many different ways. And it's also been very uplifting in many different ways.
I'd say even though it was hard that first day, just because, you're like you said, of course you want like certain people to be, you know, your cheerleaders. I mean, I think that's human nature. Like when you have,
especially when you are their cheerleader.
But then again, it goes
not
back
how that
to
works.
Well, it just goes back to you can't do something in preparation for something else.
Right.
You know, you can't give your time only hoping that someone or something will give your time back to you.
Totally.
You just have to understand that you have to put yourself out there for one. And I think that's been the coolest thing about this journey is that though I'm still Philip Kriz, I've adapted myself to be, I think, who I've gotten rid of coverings or shells that I've worn to be Philip Kriz, and now I'm truly Philip J. Kriz.
Yes.
You know, and like I've allowed myself to get over, I guess the best term is what I want people to think about me, as opposed to
like a mask.
Yeah, like now I just truly am who I am.
Right.
And it's been enlightening too. Like we were saying, like you start to realize a lot of things when you put yourself out into the world. You know, you start to really get to see who, I guess, really wants to fight with you, and who, they cheer for you. There's a lot of people that cheer for me. Like that's not the point though. But I guess it's really hard in any situation, business owner, artist, writer, anywhere that you feel that that you put a product out and you're waiting for people to give you recognition. I've really, really slowly just walked away from that, and I have to back away from that because it'll happen if the product's good.
Right.
Like you can't buy likes.
Just gotta wait.
That's why people that have 1 million followers and only like 3 people like their
right.
You know, it's because they're buying that idea.
The conversion.
They're buying that idea that someone's gonna like them, and you can't. You just can't. You have to just hope that what you are producing is truly great enough for people to eventually see. Because that's the other thing that we've always talked about with this book. Just because we see how great it is, and just because a few other people see how great it is, it might take years for it to actually,
it might.
actually build up momentum.
We just have to be patient.
But the point but the point is though, nothing great was built overnight.
Right.
That's why lottery winners, and we've talked about this before, lottery winners lose all their money.
Right.
Because they don't understand how to control that wealth. And I think that goes to say, like, if I knew everything about writing from day one, well, then I'd be in a way different position than I am now. But I didn't know anything, and I'm learning, and I'm growing, I'm asking. And I think this Kickstarter, I didn't think it was going to be this powerful. Like, powerful in the sense that it's taught me so much, too. Like, it's taught me so much about myself of emotional control, patience, because you're looking at a countdown too.
Right.
You're looking at a goal and a countdown.
Right.
And if you don't hit that number, then your goal goes away. No one has to pay anything.
Right. Well, and we purposely set our goal to be way lower than what we actually need to raise so that we are able to get at least some funds to help us out.
Yeah.
But hopefully we hit the goal and then people continue to be supportive because we're going to need more than what the goal is that we set. But in general, everything is so appreciated.
I mean, it's so appreciated. I mean, and even like I said, we started this with the hopes that just people talk about it. Like, even if they gave $1 or even if they didn't give anything, they
just talk about it.
And share with their friends. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the only way that you truly build a good repertoire, whether you be a restaurant or me.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
A new writer. Like, a new restaurant has to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
And it starts with one meal.
And then it's all word of mouth.
Well, it's the first meal. Just imagine being a new restaurant and the doors open and that person sits down and they open a menu that they've never seen before. And they go,
I'll have this.
I'll try this.
And then you better make it good.
But what no one else is seeing is, there's been a couple people that have already eaten there, right? There's been a couple.
Like testing it out.
Yeah, there's been a few people, and they write the reviews, right? Like, because that's what you do. And that's how my book got out there, like a couple people read it and they were like, well, I think this works. I don't think this works. We took that advice.
Yeah.
We asked for help from one of the biggest TV film, agents out there. And she was such a giant help that's why we were able to then go ask Desi for help. And then that was, so the same thing. This Kickstarter was such a cool program because it really did. It's taught me so much about the process of being patient. I thought I had a little bit of patience. This is like another level of patience.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's true. It's one book at a time, and it's one book at a time. It's one meal at a time, and it's really hoping that people enjoy it. And then as it gets better, more people enjoy it, and then as the door opens, more and more people enjoy it, and
absolutely,
and so on and so forth. So, although I know we mentioned that we hoped that certain things went faster. I don't know if we would have appreciated it if we would have hit our goal the first day.
100%.
I don't know if we would have appreciated all the other people that have, like you said, there's been people that have reached out or like shared
that we never
my
would have
story
expected.
Or like just talked about it that I didn't expect. And I think that was the coolest part. It was like, wow, like I didn't even... I'm speechless. It was a very humbling moment, and it was such a blessed moment. It was I'm so thankful for each and every person that has taken the time to text, call, share on Instagram, share on Facebook, just anything. It's such a moment of like, whoa, like this is cool, and I want to give that same energy back. So when the book comes out, all I can do is keep pushing.
Right. Absolutely. You poor thing.
Well, there's a few artists in the world, and you can talk, and you probably work with a couple of them. But there is something to be said about the people in the TV and film or music and, writing, the people that put forth that effort, that work just as hard as their agent or their manager or their, producer, there's a vibe that you get that's different. And I think part of that is waking up every day and really putting forth that effort in everything you do, though. Like, you can't just like slack in one area.
No,
like I have to put forth all my effort with the kids when it's kid time. Then when it's you and me time, it's like, okay, all my effort,
100% in.
And then when it's book time, it's all my effort. And
absolutely.
But those are those building blocks that you need. And so, yeah, as we finish this, short podcast and get ready to
move
into our
new house,
or finish packing and do all that stuff, we have to go all in with this, because we have to get this house ready for 2 people that are about ready to venture into their potential first house buy or second house buy or whatever they're buying. They're buying this house for a reason. So we want to give them the most possible love that we can give them. So,
absolutely.
So from that being said, the book, I personally thank you all so much for taking the time and the effort to support me in this journey, because it is a lonely journey at times, and it is a hard journey, and it is not fun some days. But I'll say this: it's the funnest job, the funnest job,
the most fun.
Nope, making up my own words.
Okay.
It is the funnest job I've ever had in my entire life, and it's actually not a job. I wake up every day, and I get to not only now call myself an author, but I get to call myself a pretty rad dad, a good husband, and I'm happy. Like, I don't know if I say it enough. Like, I'm truly inside my soul, I feel joy that I've never felt before.
I love to hear that.
And I always thought that it was going to be the money that made me happy. But it was so funny that when all the money was taken away and this was all I had, was this like little journey that I started with you. No kids at the time.
No kids, just us.
It really was a very happy moments. I would write something and share it with you and be like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or you'd be like, oh, that one's a little bad.
Let's think about that one a little more.
You should look at that paragraph. It doesn't make too much sense. But it really was moments like that have added up into this entire journey, where we are today, right now. Still made no money off of it. But the happiness is at an all-time high. So
I'm so glad.
The moral of the story is, as much as I want everyone's money to make me happy,
that's not where happiness really comes from.
No, and I just truly appreciate the love and support behind the share, the dollar, anything that you're putting out there to just support this journey. It's so cool, and I hope that one day I can shake or hug or sign or be that person that is the epitome of awesome as an artist.
Absolutely.
Like, they stay after and sign every autograph.
Yes.
They wait outside their hotel and they do it, or you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, all those little details are what I think will eventually help me to become a great person in this journey.
Totally agree.
So thank you all so much.
And on that note, as we close off, if you would like to share or buy a book, like pre-order a really cool package or anything like that, if you go to Kickstarter.com and just in the little search bar, search The Roadie Cartel, ROADIE, The Roadie Cartel, it will come up and you can see all of the hard work that we have put into it. And you can see this super awesome trailer that we had put together for the book. It is so amazing. Thank you, Jamie. And if not, that's also totally okay. Thank you just for listening. But we'll keep you posted on how things are going.
We will. And the next time you hear our voices, we shall be in a new spot.
We will be in a new spot.
Cheers.
Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Thank you so much for everything. And have an awesome 2 weeks.
We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.